That's a terrible angle, isn't it? It's a terrible angle. So I'm sitting in the BYD Seal that I have at the moment on test, which you may have seen from my social media. And I took it out for a very long circuit. Oh, this is a really bad angle. I wonder if I can move this somewhere else. I moved it. I took it for a very long drive around London. Oh, that's better. Yeah, that will do. So a full circuit of London. Why did I do that? That's for a different video, and you'll find out soon why I did that. But that wasn't a test of the vehicle. That was an experiment of a different kind. And if you stay tuned, you'll find out why I was doing that. But it did prove a useful insight into the vehicle. I started off with 86% charge and 200. I might get this wrong. 253, I think it was, something like that. And then when I completed it, and it took me 9 hours. I started off at 10 o'clock in the morning and got back. Hello, hi, this is Richard. Hi, Richard, how you doing? Hello, back to you. So I left at 10 o'clock in the morning yesterday. And by the time I'd done the full loop of London using that particular route that I was doing, which you'll find out why later on, it took me 9 hours. So I got back at 7 o'clock in the evening. I did a couple of breaks because that's wise. And in total, during that time, the 86% charge had dropped to 36%, 35%. And I still had 91 miles. So it was actually good. And you know, the EVs are good in city driving. Now, I've just been shooting now, but it was down to 35% or 30% actually by this, 32% by this afternoon, and only about 85 miles I think it was left on it. I just shot the introduction for the review, so I'm doing a review on it of course as well, which stay tuned, you'll see a full review on the car. And after I did the review, I thought I need to take it for a drive, although now it might be too late, so I might go out in the morning and take it for a drive. Trouble is with the review, it hasn't stopped raining. Have you guys found this as well? It is just how much rain? I mean, it feels to me like since the middle of last year, it hasn't stopped raining. It feels like it's just been raining constantly. And the whole time I've had this car, it's just been raining. Like right now, there's a bit of a respite. That's why I quickly went out and I shot the intro and everything for the car. Car is dirty. I couldn't do anything, but when the car arrived, it was dirty. I got it washed, and of course, straight away it got dirty again because it's just raining, raining, raining. So there was no time to get it washed and then shoot the review. I thought, oh, it stopped raining. Let me shoot the introduction to the review. And then, of course, then I thought, well, I can't actually do the drive segment of the review because for that I'm going to go out a little bit further. I mean, I drove it in the city, so I can talk about driving it in the city. But this is the 530 brake horsepower all-wheel drive car that does 0 to 62 miles per hour in 3.8 seconds. How do I know that? Because it says so on the back of the car. And so I thought I need to charge it up. So basically right now, I'm at my local Morrison's at one of these Genie Point chargers, and I'm charging it up. So it was at 30, it's already up to 36%. 45 kilowatt charging. So this is exactly fast charging here. Wow. And this is pretty much all I've got available to me, you know. There's 2 Genie Point chargers here in the Morrison's and non-stop rain, right, Richard? Absolutely. It just feels like it just hasn't stopped, you know. And this week has just, you know, the week I had the car on test, it's just constantly been raining. It's crazy. Yesterday, driving all around London, at some points, I was afraid that roads were going to flood because it was just that bad. But I was in a lot of comfort in here. So 2 Genie Point chargers here. There used to be one at the Shell petrol station on the other side of Kingsbury roundabout. I went there first today because I haven't charged the car in a while. I haven't had an electric car on test for a while. I went there first. They've ripped it out. We got rid of it. And I think that says something about the demand for it, because whenever you used to go there used to be other cars parked there rather than the actual cars actually charging. I got here, right now there's no other cars here, but when I got here, there was one car just completed charging, another one was charging over there. They've now gone, I'm the only one here now, but there's 2 chargers here. Sometimes they work, sometimes they don't. That's the downside of EV ownership in town. Ideally, you need to have a home charger, let's be honest. If you have a home charger, you're in good position, but if you don't, it's just ridiculous, really. And even like the lady I was speaking to, be honest, this is the thing. There was a lady here, and I had to ask her how to do it because I couldn't figure. I was like, because I have a Genie Point account, but it logged me out, and I think they've changed the details, and I couldn't get back into it. And I was like, how do I do it? And she's like, the best way is just do it. Plug it. Sign in as a guest. So set up what you need, set it up as a guest, put your card details in, then plug it in, and then hit charge, and it should work. And she said it took me 3 times to get it to work. And I'm like, but she was very kind, she was very helpful, so thank the Lord for her. And she helped me do it, and it did start charging, so it is working. But in the past, when I've been here, I've actually, in fact, several times in the past, I've actually had to call up the helpline to get it to work. So that is the downside of these EVs, is not having this universal, easily accessible charging that is not only easily available, but easy to use. I think that's a key thing here. But having said that, it's charging now. It's now up to 38%. It's saying it's an hour. It's going to take me an hour to get a full charge on this thing. I think I'll probably try to get it to 80-85%, see how we do from there. That's hopefully will be enough. But yeah, it's not the fastest charger in the world. So whilst I'm here, I thought, might as well go live and let you know of the fact that I'm sitting here in the Morrison's car park in Queensbury. So if you happen to be nearby, come over, we'll have a chat. So yeah, Morrison's car park, Queensbury, at the chargers. That's where I am right now because this is live. And charging the BYD. So do you guys want to know about the BYD? I've got some information here. So what can I tell you about it? So the BYD is the second car launched in the UK in BYD, the BYD Seal, I should say, is the second car in the BYD range launched here in the UK, which is part of its Ocean series. Its Ocean series of cars. So the first one of the ones that was launched was the Dolphin, which I also reviewed. The reviews on my channel. But so the Dolphin was the first, and now the Seal is the second that's launched. Apparently they have another car called the Seagull. That's not available here, but apparently that's also part of this Ocean series of cars that they have. And they have lots of little features and things where they're trying to compare it to the sea or to water and stuff like that. They didn't need to. It was raining so much here yesterday that there couldn't be a better car to be in than the Seal, right? I mean, at one point I crossed the river, and I'm a Londoner. I was born in London, lived here. I mean, I haven't lived here all my life because I spent about half my career I've been in the Middle East and half here. But I've always lived, my home has always been in London, right? Before I used to live in central London, now I live in northwest London, right? And the one thing that I didn't do ever before, to be honest, I was so vaguely aware of it, but I'd never done it, and I did it yesterday, was use the Woolwich Ferry. Have you used the Woolwich Ferry? Now here's the amazing thing about it, two amazing things about it. First of all, there's no sensation of you being taken across the river in this thing. Honestly, because they say don't get out of your car. They don't let you out of the car. So you drive onto this thing, and then after a few minutes they close the thing, and you have to look round to go, are we moving? And then you see these buildings sort of moving, and you go, it's so weird because you can't, because it's covered up on the sides. You can't really see. So you kind of, it's like if you get seasick, don't use it, because your brain will get very confused, because you'll see suddenly you feel like you're not moving. There's no sensation of moving. It's incredible. You get like a couple of nudges at the beginning and when it comes to a stop, but otherwise there's no sensation of moving. And the only way you move is that if you look behind you or to the side and you can see part of the sea, and then you suddenly see these buildings sort of, rotating around you, you go, what is going on? It's very weird. And then the second thing, you've been on a foot passenger. Oh, so you can do it as a passenger or you can do it as a pedestrian as well. So why don't they let us out of the car when you get on there? They say don't get out of the car. It's very strange. Because I was going to get out of the car and take some video, but and I think one guy in front of me got out of the car, and immediately there was an announcement with everybody remain in their car. So okay, and there were signs there. So where did the pedestrians go then? Where did they? Because I didn't see any pedestrians. That's very interesting. But and then the second amazing thing about it, which I didn't know, and I was actually quite flabbergasted, because I was sitting there ready with my phone, with my Apple Pay or my credit card to pay. There's no charge. There's no charge for this. So you go to the tunnels, you have to pay. But you go on a ferry, on a boat that transport you across the river, there's no charge for it. It's free. How is that? How to this day and age where nothing is free anymore, and even driving on roads is costing upon cost upon cost upon cost, but the Woolwich Ferry is free, and long may it be. I don't want to jinx it, but anyway, so I did that yesterday. That was quite remarkable. So back to the BYD. We're talking about a car. It's a car. It's about 5 meters long, right? So it's sort of like a saloon car, sort of a upper medium level executive type saloon car. That's what the BYD Seal is. We're talking of a starting price for the regular rear wheel drive version, you try saying that quickly, is 45,700 pounds. And then this version, which is the all-wheel drive version, is 48,700 pounds. So there's a 3 grand in it. And you think, well, that's quite a lot. Now, not when you consider the fact that the rear wheel drive car, although it's got a little bit more range, gotta be honest, the quoted range on it is a bit longer. That gives you 354 miles of range, whereas this one gives you 323 miles of range. Of course, that's claimed, that's WLP, all that sort of stuff. Real world, it's always less than that. But so the rear wheel drive gives you a bit more range, but the rear wheel drive has 313 brake horsepower. This has 530 brake horsepower, 2 motors and all-wheel drive, like I said. So if you talk about 3 grand difference, you guys, heck, might as well get this. And another reason you might as well get this is because while that one's pretty quick, the rear wheel drive, it's 5.9 seconds 0 to 60, which, you know, is not bad. It's not bad for a saloon car. I mean, in the old days, 5.9 seconds was like proper sports car territory, right? 5.9 seconds for a luxury saloon car. And then, but this one is 3.8 seconds 0 to 60. You know how I know that? Because they've stuck it on the boot. So where it says BYD Seal on the boot, it says 3.8. And what are you doing? Switch on front window. No, I didn't say that. Oh, okay. So, have I triggered the voice control? No, cancel the voice control. I do not want voice control. Stop voice control. Stop it. Stop. What? No, I don't. What? No, I'm not saying it's telling me what to say.
Say that again.
It's actually, there's little indications that come up. It's telling me what to say. Does it think just because I'm talking to myself that I want to talk to the car? Is that what's happening here? That's really weird. How can I turn it off? Because every time I press it's gone. God, BYD. Did I say? Because if you say hi BYD, what's the weather like today?
Today it will be raining in London with temperatures between 2 and 9 degrees Celsius.
It'll be raining in London. Tell me something I don't know. Anyway, back to the car. So, so on the back of the car, as I was saying, it says BYD Seal. It says 3.8S. And you go, what is the 3.8 for? That's not the engine capacity. It's not, what is that meant to? It's 3.8 is for the 0 to 62 time. 3.8 seconds. That's what it says on the back of it. So there you go. So this thing has obviously BYD blade technology. It's that new raining. Yeah. Well, it hasn't started yet, but the clouds. Oh, the dark clouds coming in from that side. I can see them now. They do look like they're bringing in rain. Great. Good thing I didn't wash it. Would have been a complete waste. Yeah. Okay, yeah, I'm getting droplets now. I'm charging the car. It's going to start raining and I'm charging the car. Okay, if I have to suddenly jump out and run, you'll know why. But I'm hoping it's all fine because it's all rubber encased, isn't it, and everything, so it should be okay. Okay, so anyway, so as I was saying, it's a medium-sized executive saloon. I've told you the range. I was telling you about the battery pack. So the battery they've got on this thing is an 82.5 kilowatt per hour battery. It is capable of 150 kilowatt charging, although I'm only doing 44.5 at the moment. Thanks a lot, Genie Point. 1 hour remaining. I've only got up to 45%. So much for, like, you know, whenever you get the press releases for these things, it's like, it'll charge from 0 to 180% in 30 minutes, 25 minutes. It's like, I've never experienced that in real life. Probably because they're using the fastest possible charger that's compatible with their car. And this is the other thing I remember, because not all cars are compatible with the higher speeds. That's why this one is like, it makes sense because this is common to all cars, but, you know, it's not as easy as it could be. But having said that, it's a nice car. I have to be honest, like the experiment I was doing yesterday, because I was basically driving around London, and there was only like a couple of portions of North Circular I used, and there was only one small portion of the M25 I used. There was a couple of very short runs on the M3 and the M4, but most of it otherwise was, you can hear it now, can't you? Most of it was in the town. If I had done that in my BMW, my manual classic E30, I would have been in agony till this morning with my left leg clutch pumping all the way around. So in this car, it was actually the perfect car for that experiment because it was very smooth, very serene, it's very easy to drive. Pretty much does everything itself. So it was very good in that sense. Good, the right car for the right situation at the right time. That's what I always say, right? So the battery on this thing, BYD blade technology, hence called because they put the cells in the blade format. Now, there's always been talk about BYD own batteries, and there's all these kind of stories and myths and things out there. First of all, addressing the fire issue, they are much less likely, EVs are much less likely to catch fire than their ICE, internal combustion engine counterparts. The reason that they have become so notorious and famous for this is because when they do catch fire, it's pretty spectacular, and secondly, it's almost impossible to put them out. That's the problem. Need a hand-controlled car. Well, you do control it. Or Mariam meme. Well, you do control it with your hand. I mean, well, and my feet. Because there are two pedals down there, and there is a steering wheel, so you do have to control it with your hand. I mean, I agree with you if you're saying like you need a manual car. I agree with you. I love driving my BMW, and part of the reason I love driving it so much is because of that sweet gear change, and getting the clutch right, getting the gear change right, getting your downshifts right, trying the heel and toes and getting the heel and toe right. I mean, that would be handy, right? Having a steering wheel and pedals would be handy, right? You can see where I'm coming from. Yeah, no, I mean, I agree with you. Like, driving a manual car is just brilliant. But if you are doing a bit of a chore driving, I would call it, where you're doing a particular thing where you're driving in town, in London in particular, and also the other thing that did my head in yesterday, and that would have really driven me crazy in the BMW, were the 20 miles per hour limits all over London. And nothing against 20 miles per hour limits where they are appropriate, but I'm talking like, especially in the morning part of yesterday, and it was relatively quiet, and I was out on some roads which were empty, they were quiet, they were open, and 20 miles per hour. I mean, it's draconian and ridiculous, and it's actually impossible. A number of people that have told me that they've got, the first time in their lives they got a speeding fine at 23 miles per hour, 24 miles per hour, simply because it's so difficult to get the car down to 20. What kilowatt charger is the Genie Point? Yeah, I mean, it's got to be a 50 kilowatt, hasn't it? So Steve is asking, what charger is the Genie Point? Is it 50 kilowatt? Well, I'm guessing it's got to be 50 kilowatt. Does it say on there? It doesn't say on there, but it's got to be, right? Because this thing has 150 kilowatt hour charging. So it's got 150 kilowatt charging, but it's only charging the car. It's showing 44.9 right now. So it's only charging at that. So you're right, Steve. It's got to be a 50 kilowatt charger, I guess. So that's the maximum I'm going to get out of it. So you're right. I mean, if I could find a 150 kilowatt charger and plug it in, then I probably could get 0 to 80% in 25, 30 minutes, whatever, like manufacturers claim. But those are always ideal world scenarios, right? And now this is the real world. This is me trying to find a charger near where I live. One of them has already been pulled out and got rid of. So the Morrisons is the best bet. And what we've got at Morrisons are these Genie Point ones, which are not the best. I'll be honest with you. What are my favorite ones? Instavolt are my favorite ones. Hello to Fortnite Clip 2023. So I'm just basically, so you're saying, what am I talking about? So I'm sitting in the BYD Seal, which I've got on test. I've just shot the first part of the review. I need to take it out for a drive, which will now probably be tomorrow morning because the weather looked like it's going to turn really nasty. But I had used it a lot yesterday, and I had taken the charge from 86% down to 30%. I'd really drained it, so I figured I better charge it up as much as possible so that I can take it out for a longer run tomorrow. So that's what I'm doing right now. And so whilst I was doing that, I thought I'll go live and answer your questions and have a chat with you guys. So in about 3 minutes, it's going to hammer down. Oh, thanks a lot. This is Stuart Stratford. Are you in Stratford, or are you just called Stratford? Or are you in Northwest London where I am right now? I mean, it's suddenly, because earlier today, the sun was out. Fortunately, I did my introduction then because it would just look like, and I was thinking of getting it washed. I'm glad I didn't now. It wasn't worth it. But the sun was out. It didn't look like it was going to rain. And now look, I mean, there's some nasty, evil, foreboding clouds just over there. So you could be right. Steve, Fastnet chargers and Osprey are both good as well. I haven't used those. But a few times when I've driven a electric car up north, I've stopped at the Banbury charging place, and because they've got a bank of chargers there, it's fantastic. So it's just off the A40, M40, and they have like a whole line of them, and then there's a Costa there as well, so you can sit in there and have a coffee. And they have the Instavolt ones, and what I love about them, they seem pretty quick, but also like they're so easy to use, because literally you just plug it in and you just tap your card or your Apple Card or Apple Pay or whatever, and off it goes, and that's it. And then once you're done, you just, take it out and it's done. It's as simple as that. None of this faffing around with logins and registering and this and that and apps and all that. And there's the thing, it's like if every charge, people say, oh, it's so easy, you can just pull over anywhere and charge. But if every time you pull over to charge, you have to sign up to an app and register and put your card details in, and or maybe sometimes you have to put a deposit in. I mean, they need to simplify this, right? I haven't tried the ones you've suggested, Steve. If I get an opportunity, I'll certainly have a go at them. How long have you got the BYD for, says Richard? It goes back on Monday. So I had it on test for about a week. WWE fan 4, hi, what's your dream car, he asked. My dream car is the same dream car it's been since I've been a little boy. Ultimately, it's been exactly the same car. Like if you ask me what my favorite car is, for a motoring journalist, it's a very difficult question, because that comes and goes and changes, and every day of the week it could be something different, And then there's cars that are my favorite for real world use, cars that I would want to live with, cars that I want to drive. But when you say my dream car, a car that is still on a pedestal for me, that car is the same car that I fell in love with when, as a little kid, I saw The Spy Who Loved Me, starring Roger Moore as James Bond, and he was in this white car, which we got hail now. We got hail the weather. Oh my God, it's not just rain today, it's hail. This is great. And did somebody say checking it down? It's checking it down, and I'm plugged in here. Let me know if that's wise, if anybody thinks I should unplug right now, but I've still got 55 minutes remaining. I'm not getting out in that. I'm not getting out in this. So anyway, yes, James Bond, The Spy Who Loved Me, and he's driving along, escaping this helicopter, and he turns to his beautiful companion and says, can you swim? And then he dives it into the water, and it turns into a submarine. Wet Nelly. You guys know what I'm talking about. I'm talking about, of course, the White Lotus Esprit. And when you were a kid, and I must have seen this, probably not when it came out, maybe a few years later I probably saw it, but so that would still be like the early 80s. I would have been 11, 12, something like that, maybe, 10, 11, 12. Actually, maybe earlier, maybe 10, yeah. And you saw this thing at that time. You imagine seeing a car like that at that time. It just blew your mind away. It just blew you away, because you were like, I've never seen anything like that. Something so sleek. Yes, it's amazing, right? Thank you. It's just something that was so sleek and so alien. I mean, it was right there in comparison to the Countach, which also was this alien automotive creature that had arrived on our planet and blew everybody's minds. But if you wanted something that was even more sleeker and lower and purer of form, especially in the original Lotus form, or Lotus Esprit form, I mean, it was the Lotus Esprit. This pure wedge shape, And it just looked like a spaceship to me. And of course, if people that know me, and you can't make it out today, but I always wear a Star Trek badge. I'm a huge science fiction fan, huge Star Trek fan. And for me, it just looked like it was from outer space. At the time, if you look at cars at that time and you look at that thing, is that a real car? It's not a concept. It's a real car. It's being driven around. It can dive into the water. Well, it can't really, but you know what I mean. And Richard is reassuring me that I'll be fine charging. Cool. Along with the hails, and there are proper hailstones, don't knock the charger out. But obviously, as people that know these things know, that once the charger's in, it's actually locked in. Because people often say, oh, people just unplug chargers when cars are charging. You can't. The charger's actually locked in until you disconnect it here. So yeah, so my dream car has always been and remains Lotus Esprit. But there are other cars that are right up there. The Countach, for example, as I mentioned, I still think is the ultimate supercar. To my mind, it still is. I love the Mustang. There's one car that I would say that probably actually got me into cars. I'm not 100% sure about that, but when I try to think as far back as I can, what is the car that I can remember, my earliest memory of a car where it hooked me and I was transfixed by it? Well, if anybody remembers, I'm going to say the Avengers, but not the Avengers, the New Avengers, which is not Marvel, it's not comic book, it was a TV show in the 70s, the New Avengers. It had Steed in it, it had Purdy, Joanna Lumley used to be Purdy, and I probably had a crush on her. Actually, I did have a crush on her, and there was some other guy. And I think Purdy drove a TR7, and the other guy, I think he drove, was it a Capri? Can't remember. Anyway, I can't remember that guy. And Steed, the boss, Steed, the guy, the man, he drove several cars over the series. He had a white Range Rover at one point, which he put over a missile silo to stop a nuclear missile or something, you know, and it blew up. That was great. But one of the cars he had in there was a bespoke Jaguar XJC12 Broadspeed, bespoke, one-off, created for him. And it just blew my mind, you know. So that car, I absolutely loved it. Stuart says only showers. Man, I'm telling you, these are not showers. Can you hear them? This is proper hailstones hitting the car right now, and actually they're all over the ground as well. Is it possible to flip this? Can I flip this round? Yeah, I think I can. Hang on, let me try this. Look at that. Can you see that? That is proper hailstones. This is happening right now. There you go. So BYD, if your car comes back with micro dents, I'm sorry, it's not my fault. It's the weather. But look at that. So it's all out there. By the way, I was so transfixed with charging the car that I've only just now realized that my phone is also running out of charge. So if this cuts out at any minute, that's why. Or I might have to just stop in a bit. So no, we got hailstorms. Why did I want to become a content creator? Well, I didn't become a content creator. I became a journalist. So back in 1989, so as a kid, three things I always loved: science fiction, cars, and writing. I used to love writing. Way back at primary school, I was writing stories and plays. I think one of my stories actually got turned into a school play. I just loved writing. And for a long time, I fancied myself as a writer, as a novelist, and I actually did a comic book script writing course. I thought I'd write comic books, you know. Didn't quite work out. But I love cars, and I thought, I love cars, I love writing. What's the way to combine those two things? Is obviously motoring journalism. So I started off as a motoring journalist in print. So that's where everything started. So the content creator part has just sort of evolved. I've just sort of evolved into that. I've evolved into becoming a content creator. It's not something that I wanted to or set off to become. But as obviously media evolves and the media arena evolves and the way that you communicate with people, because for me the most important thing is communicating with you guys, is having this feedback, is having these conversations. This is what I love. And and evolving that, so I did digital, I went digital, I did internet, I did social media, I did radio, I did TV, and now of course I do YouTube as well. So become a journalist, yeah. I mean, you know, choose your subject very carefully. I'm just going to go through these. Thunder. I haven't heard thunder. I haven't seen or heard thunder yet, but definitely hell. That was from Madeline. Hendon Gooner, good afternoon. Chucking it down in Northwest. Well, I'm in Northwest London. So I'm in Queensbury right now. I'm at the Morrisons in Queensbury. That's where I am. I'm charging at the Genie Point chargers. I'm up to 57%, another 49 minutes remaining. I think my phone is going to die before that actually happens. So that's where I am. And WWE fan 4, I want to be a journalist. Yeah, I'd strongly recommend it. I love writing too, especially stories. Dude, you should really get into it. You know, the one thing, journalism, to be honest, is kind of a tricky area right now. But the one thing that I think that is still working is just creative writing. You know, people still read, they still buy books, they still download books. So yeah, dude, get into it. I left it too long. As some of you will know, I've just now published, in 2023, published my first novel, which was my lifelong ambition, you know, and I've just now done it. And I really wish I'd done it earlier. I really, really do. So if you feel like you want to write stories or you want to write a novel, get into it. Sienna Clarence, hi! Hendon Guna, please fix your BMW. Only 2 more months till we vote Sadiq Khan out. Well, I don't know about that because he's way ahead in the poll, so we'll see. The BMW, yeah, I'm still trying to figure out what to do. I'm talking to some other people as well. I've got a busy week or so. After that, I'm going to go and see some people and see what options I've got to figure out how I can get that done, if I can get that done, or if the BMW E30, the BCG BMW E30 has to go up on sale. Anyway, that's a sad story. Let's not get into that right now. Anyway, all of that blog is on my channel, as you know. Stuart Stratford, you know, Lotus stands for lots of trouble, usually serious. Yeah, you know, the thing is, I used to know the guy in Dubai who is a professional driver, instructor, and stuff like that. He used to work at Lotus. He used to be a test driver at Lotus. And I used to chat to him about it. And he said one time he ran an Esprit. And I said, well, didn't that always break down? He said, no, the thing about Esprits is that the more you use them, the better they get. If you just leave them standing around, they'll start to go wrong. I've heard this from a few other people as well. But he was like, no, you see, I drove it daily and it was perfectly fine. So if I ever did get one, that's what I would do. But that's the thing with the Lotus Esprit, is that you have to have a budget aside, as I found with the BMW. Oh my God! All right, and checking it down. Unbelievable. Look at this. Can I just switch you around again? Check this out. This is live right now in Northwest London at the Morrisons. You can see there, the Morrisons. Look what's happening. That's proper right now. I dare not open the window. Wow. Walter White. Walter White says, do you take meth? No, I don't. This is not Breaking Bad. Richard, the ULEZ files. Yes, please buy the ULEZ files. It's on Amazon now. Please go out. Please get it. Okay, I'm gonna have to stop because the car is still charging. I got another 46 minutes left. It's 60% charged. Still charging at 44.7 kilowatt. That's gonna take me another while. But the phone is almost dead. So I've got to stop this now. But thank you very much for joining me. I hope you enjoyed that. I will save this. It will be available, and I'll catch you again soon. So how do I stop this?